as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is March 3rd, 2026. Almost 6 years straight of Torah every single weekday, mostly in the morning, most weekdays. Today is a special day. It is Purim. There's much more to say about it, but let's say good morning to each other as we have for almost 6 years. Neil and John, Jonathan and Penny, Arlene and Lydia. Thank you, Penny, for knowing. I'll say that in a second. John, Chag Sameach to you too. Ariel, my love, nice to see you. Jonathan and Tara, Kate, good morning. Amy, Boker Tov, good to see you too. Let's see who else is here on Facebook. We'll say a few more hellos before we get started. Michelle and Arlene, Barry, good to see everybody. Chag Purim Sameach. Hope that you and yours are safe and well. If we have friends who are in Israel, sending a special wish for safety, for protection, for love, and for even some joy in the midst of all of this. Arlene and Susan, Karen, Rosa, Patricia, and Amy, Boker Tov, everyone. Hineni, Rosa, me too. Let's take a breath. We'll sing a bracha as we begin our 1,500th broadcast. This is broadcast 1500. Look at who we are, friends. We are a steady and reliable place for Torah and for community. Nothing can surpass that as a blessing today. So let's take a breath in with that kavanah, with that intention of having created something real and lasting. Let's learn. Let's bless. Ya la 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 la, to the ya la la la, to the ya la 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 la, ay la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah hafoch ba v'hafoch ba la'asok b'divrei Torah. Today I lie, today I lie, today I lie, I lie. So good morning, everyone. Chag Purim Sameach. A very special hello to my beautiful Ariel here on Instagram and my amazing Neshama here on Facebook. So good to celebrate with all of you and to know that I am being surrounded myself. It is broadcast 1,500. In another 15 days, it'll be the 6-year anniversary of the birth of this community. Today is also Purim. So today's Torah is in the theme of Purim and also is sent to all of our beloved family and friends in Israel right now who are in significant stress. For all of the beautiful imagery of reading Megillah in ma'amadim, safe rooms, or in miklatim and shelters, this is a complicated time where it feels like the story of Purim is very much reflected in the reality that we face. So it is so important for us, friends, to be able to face this head on, to appreciate what the Megillah teaches us, and to move forward through time. It's so good to see all of you. So let's begin with just a reflection on Purim itself, because, to be honest, Purim is not one of my favorite holidays. Purim is a complicated holiday. As opposed to the other Chagim, not all of which are pleasant, think about the sad days that we commemorate, but in terms of the happy days, Pesach has a language of redemption, and Sukkot has a language of vulnerability and impermanence and reliance on the divine. Rosh Hashanah is about renewal. You go through each holiday, and it takes some very essential part of being alive and being human and being optimistic, being hopeful, and it amplifies that. The connection to God itself is the idea that the universe can lean toward good. Of course, it requires human agency. But what makes Purim a different kind of holiday, and what makes the Megillah a different kind of scroll, a different part of the Hebrew canon, the Tanakh, is that it is only about human agency, at least on the surface, because nowhere in the scroll is God named. That might be why Purim is a harder holiday, speaking personally, because it feels more real than the other stories. There's no sea that splits here. There is the use of power, the conniving use of power, and it results not in peace, but in the Jews gaining enough power that the bully stops. And the intensity of what it means in Megillat Esther, in the scroll of Esther, for the Jews to have enough power to stop the bullies is for the Jews to exercise force in the world. It's not that I deny the necessity of that, it's that I grieve the necessity of that. It is necessary for us to have enough power to stop the violence against us. But it forces us into a position where we have to exercise force. And yes, as Susie is sharing, one of the classic understandings of Megillat Esther, you can even hear it in the words if you listen closely, is that it is Megaleh et ha-Hester. Megillah means scroll, but Megaleh means reveal. And Esther is the name of our heroine. Esther also means nistar, hidden. And so it is possible to say that God is not absent from the story. It's just that you have to look much harder to find God within the story. And because the story is so human, so political, so military, so wrapped up in greed and bribery and hatred and violence, and of course, by the way, when you look at the deepest and most harsh strata of the story, also the trafficking of women. It is a complicated story because it's a mirror of our reality. So, where do we find God in a reality that is so complicated? How do we say Chag Purim Sameach when the story itself is so ragged? Where's the simcha in this? And so part of this, friends, part of this is in knowing that our sacred canon, our Tanakh, our holy words are not meant to be easy. There are certain phrases that are essential from the Megillah that have defined Jewish consciousness. When we end Shabbat, what do we say? Just before the brachot, there's an intro paragraph, and then we bless the wine and the spices and the fire. What do we say? Layudim haita ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. The language is for the Jews on a day that was meant by our enemies to be destruction. There was ora v'simcha v'sason. There was light. There was joy. There was celebration. On this day, we send each other food. We feed each other. We take care of the poor. We read the Megillah. We learn our own story. And we have a seudah. We eat. We smile. Meaning it is a defiant life posture that we bring into the end of every Shabbat. This memory that what could have been bad was not. Every week, when we bring light back into our lives and the world, we are bringing one message from the Megillah. Another message from the Megillah, which feels so true today as it did last Purim, and also often during these complicated times for the world. The phrase is that Haman, you're allowed to boo now, plotted bad, plotted evil, plotted destruction, because we would not give up who we were. Mordechai would not give up who he was, and though it is complicated to see the intrigue and deception of Esther's rise, where she did not reveal her identity, at a certain point she did. She built enough relationship. That's not really what she did, but we'll use that language for now. In order to pull the levers of power, again, that's the only way I'm going to say that. And revealed herself, which again is the only way I'm going to say that. And talked about who she was and the threat to her family. And because Mordechai reminded her, Mi yodea im la'et kazot higat lamalchut, who knows if it is precisely for this moment that you are where you are. That is the language that each of us must internalize. For ourselves, for each other, you are here for a reason. Esther trembled. Of course she trembled. Of course we tremble. What world are we living in? It is a world that requires what some of us are writing on the different platforms, emunah and faith, believing in a God you cannot see and have no proof of. But the fact that the story is, as John just wrote, a nafochu story, a story that gets turned on its head. It does not go the way we were afraid it would go. Which means whatever the reason is that you are who you are and where and when you are, it is not insignificant. You are, as a civil rights leader who just died, a teacher of mine, Joanne Bland, once put it, you are the most important person in your story. You don't exist for yourself. But whatever it is that you are supposed to do in the world, you need to know you're there to do it. When we say Chag Purim Sameach, there are essential things being said. It is not light. For all of the sweetness and some of the enjoyable chaos that we see in synagogues and in the reading of Megillah, even in bomb shelters. Look at what it is to be resilient, the stories of shared humanity, of helping each other. Literally right now, the government in Israel just gave the all clear after yet another threat of ballistic missiles. What is Chag Purim Sameach for us this year? It is we have a Chag Purim. This is a nafochu time for the Jewish community, perhaps for the world. Please God, even for residents of Iran to finally have a chance to live their lives without repressive governmental forces restricting their humanity. You are here for a reason. Purim is a really interesting word too. You might not even know this. Most people don't. But Purim, the name of our holiday, means lottery. It means chance. Purim in the scroll itself is what Haman, you can say boo again, threw on the ground like playing dice to choose the date of our destruction. We name our day for what the bad guy thought would decide our fate. We call the day luck, chance. It's an ironic name, friends. It's ironic. Purim, as if it's up to luck. It's not up to luck. Imagine for a second as we come to a close. Imagine if the fact that God's name is missing from the Megillah, and yet the story cannot be seen without understanding some divine grace. Be that Mordechai's inspiring Esther's heroic leadership. Be that a turn of events that is just so strange, it's hard to imagine God's not there. So imagine how that reflects on our world too, where perhaps we wonder if God's there. And just imagine, with eyes closed for a second, what it might mean to sense grace. When you feed someone today, which is a mitzvah. When you help someone monetarily today, which is a mitzvah. When you hear our story in the reading of Megillah, which is a mitzvah. When you have a seudah, a joyful meal yourself, which is a mitzvah, who's to say that all of that doesn't swirl inside of each of our souls to remind us, mi yodea im la'et kazot higat, that you are here for a reason? Who's to say that is not God? Maybe this Purim is megale et hahester, reveals what has been hidden, because sometimes we just miss it. I bless us, friends. I bless us this Purim to have a little faith. Say Purim with a wink. It's not chance. You are here for a reason. We are here for a reason. What a powerful thing it is to say what Patricia just said and Rosa said earlier. Hineni. I am here. Hinenu. We are here. Thank God. Let's take a breath. Send our hearts to the east. Really send your hearts to the east. Send chizuk, strength, and ahava, and love, and emunah, faith, to our sisters and brothers in Israel right now. Let's sing. Kolon balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia Olo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. Chag Purim Sameach, friends. See you tomorrow.